Should I put my earbuds?
Right. Yeah, I think
If
we're
I sound
live.
okay. Hi.
Yeah, everybody can see us now.
Hello, everyone. Anybody out there?
They'll stop
Hello,
popping
hello.
on here in a minute. Like, hello, 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 hello.
Now, earbuds. Do you think I should put them, or it should be good? Is it not echoing?
Yeah, you should be good without them. It sounds like you got a pretty good microphone,
Okay, good.
so
Awesome.
we should be good. But yeah, hopefully, I see some people popping on. So,
Hey.
tonight with Ernesto, yay, Ernesto,
Hello, everyone.
about crystal skulls. Why not to be afraid of them? Some history, how to work with them, put to rest some fears. So, anybody joining in, feel free to type in questions. Ernesto will be able to see them. Hi, Marlene. And he'll go ahead and answer for you. Any questions you might have about skulls, how to work with them, why they are safe. They are not the spooky things to work with in your spiritual practice.
Correct.
How did you get to working with skulls, Ernesto?
Well, there was two forms. A lot of people we know that are afraid of using skulls because they get the misconcept of it deals with death just because in some cultures it does relate symbolically. The skull is related to the spirit world. And the reason, especially with this workshop that we're going to be working on, has to do specifically more with the crystal skull, which is much different than what it would be if you worked with a normal skull, which I'll get some clarity and details later. But as far as the crystal skull is concerned, a lot of people, when they use different types of crystals, minerals, things of that nature, it helps them to evolve and to accelerate and help them tune in. But when they're carved as skulls, um, they're more of almost what I call computer. So it helps you to access higher wisdom and information. Just kind of like how we use our brain. We have a skull, we have our eyes or our senses. So in when you're using a skull, it's almost like you're accessing your higher vibrations with the kind of like the lights, of the ethers, of the spirit or astral. So when I started, it was more about accessing like knowledge, that inner computer. And then through that, it was to help then access higher knowledge within that, so it always starts with the self. And the skull is more of a tool, to work with accessing that information as far as quartz, kind of like the lights, of the ethers, of the spirit or astral. So when I hear myself,
Oh, there we go.
there you go.
I think I fixed it. So
All right.
sorry, guys.
Anyone in that ask any questions? I don't see anyone saying anything yet.
Yeah, ask questions, guys. We've got Ernesto. He is a ton of knowledge. Sandy would like to know if the size of the crystal skull you might be working with matter in practice.
Size has always been a big deal for a lot of people. They say the bigger, the greater, the grand, the information. I don't necessarily think the size is what matters. It goes to what what appeals to you. For example, like the one I use is palm size. So if I show you, let me get the camera lens here correct. You see, it's palm size. So when I hold it, it fits perfectly. So yeah, and I like it because I can place my palm over the top of the skull, the cranial, to be able to access information from the top. So like our crown chakra that access knowledge from above. So size, no, I think it just goes what you feel more best, when it comes to that, what you're more aligned to. If I can, access a bigger one, oh, absolutely, because that's just me. The bigger, the grander, the greater for me. But that's just me personally. So yeah. Any
Now,
other questions?
how many might you have in your collection? Like, does it matter how many?
When you start to collect more, what happens is that you start to get almost like a library of information. So you'll start to add in more of different frequencies, especially I find when you have different other minerals, whether it's like amethyst or rose quartz, then you start to access other vibrations. So then you got a library of information communicating with one another in a skull sense. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mm. All right, guys, keep asking questions. So we have Shelly joining us. We have Sandy, Kathy, Colleen. So though I know like Colleen, she knows how to work with skulls. She's got a whole bunch. It's actually her skull that's in the artwork picture that we used.
Oh, okay. Hello there.
It
Yeah.
is the best like straight on picture of a skull that we have had that I could use. So Jill says, I heard crystal skulls are good tools for working with ancestors and past lives. Any insight on that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. Any type of skull would actually work in this level, especially if you're using in traditions like whether Santeria or even in your own mediumship sense. But if again, any type of minerals, especially in the quartz context, would be even to me more of an amplifier to connect with your ancestors because it's a vibration that helps you tune in easier. So yeah, definitely for that. Past lives, I think if you program it for that specific intention, then yeah, I would think that it would be easy to use that. But what I would do is I would place the intention within that so that way when I'm ready to access the information, I will give it a day or two. So then I can then sit with it and then meditate to allow to receive any former lives, and you'll find that what you'll receive as far as past life is concerned is what you need that's going to help fix whatever you need in this lifetime, just to let you know. You may have personal health or emotional, and that's what will show up in your past life when you access that information through the skull.
I know, like we have the big one at the store, the big lava rock one. He's a little sassy.
Oh, yes. That one's visited over here, and that one really got rid of a lot of stuff. I remember that.
And other
Yes.
people will hear him too. He's kind of picky, who he allows to hear and interact with them. So maybe that could be like a little follow up question. Like they can almost become like their own little guides, little beings that
Oh,
work with you and might even yell at you like you're not doing your work. You know.
yes. Oh my God, you're right on that. Yeah, with the one I use, I like the quartz one the most. I have a few other ones, but that the quartz I like overall. And I find that for me, I remember I was putting different ideas and intentions that I wanted to receive, and after a while, I just let it sit in my bedroom. And I'm not even sure if I told you this, Melissa, but I remember it was sitting next to my nightstand, and one day it started communicating. It just started hearing something in regards to certain remedies of something that I needed to understand, and it had to do with what was going on in my home. Like there was a mold issue. And when I kept hearing, I'm like, what is that? I don't even know that the chemical compound of that. I don't even know what that is. It was a word, a language I didn't even understand. But turns out it was something that helped to clear some of the problems that were in the basement. It's an actual remedy. And so it's like, whoa. And it just kept screaming it out. And I was like, what is he talking about? Who's talking, first of all? And then I looked, and sure enough, I kept looking, I kept hearing it from the left side, which is where the skull was sitting. So yeah, absolutely. It will scream at you when you need to hear something that you need to know.
Right.
Mhm.
So they can earn their keep.
Yes,
They'll be helpful.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. They call it the crystal skull is because it's carved so way, it becomes like a consciousness of its own, a crystal consciousness. And when you're working with your intentions of your consciousness with it, what happens is that then it starts to amplify those higher frequencies to be able to get information and knowledge. That's why it's unique in itself by its shape.
Right.
So let's see. We got somebody else asking something here about the various colors. Okay, Laura. let's see. One or wait. One. Um. Hmm. What do you? What? I'm just see if I got this. Girl. Oh, that's cool. I like
Right?
this.
Kind of instead of squinting, because I don't know about you, I'm getting old. Small.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can we
Me
use more
too.
than one skull in a session along with a variety of colors, or should we just use one skull, one specific color? I would say, like, if you have, I mean, as you collect them and you're working with them, at least for me, like, they start having their own little personalities and the things that they're strongest at doing.
Yeah.
So, maybe use, by all means, you can use more than one, but like for instance, you wouldn't sit a baker down and say, give me a manicure, so use the right little personality skull for the thing that you're working with, regardless of maybe what stone it might be out of,
Mm-hmm.
um, because it's that natural like personality and power that it would have.
Mm-hmm.
uh, and then Shelley asked, she believes her mom is still around. Would this be something that could use to help me? And Colleen over on another page
Oh,
said that her first her first skull was quartz, and it helped her to connect with her dad who passed. So in a way, Colleen is answering
yes.
Shelley without
Yes.
even seeing it.
Yes, 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 absolutely. The communicating of the other side is very, I think it's just an easy access, which is why I'm encouraging everyone to take this workshop because there's so many different ways of using it. And when you're using it to communicate with spirit, like whenever I, wanted more communicate or access with spirit, I would put it like in my altar where I have, whether it's like people that have passed away, in a place that quartz or amethyst, like I like amethyst for raising and communicating higher, so you can use that kind of skull, and have it right in your altar, with your, even if you're working with a saint that's more specifically for mediumship, or something like that, you would have that again skull there because it will help you access as a what I call the walkie-talkie to communicate and hear loud and clear. So yeah, that she
Right.
answered it pretty straight up, and colors too, like Laura was saying. Like for me, I would use, if I need intense healing, I would use a fluorite skull. For me personally, depending, I guess, what I need, but I would use that kind of skull to help access those color rays and ask the skull to help me to also not just receive the healing, but to teach me or show me what I can do to continue to advance the healing within myself and to be able to know what to do, whether it's, hey, what are the best foods I should eat? Should I take a certain supplement? Things that would be more holistic. So that would definitely be a helpful tool to use.
Right. So we have more
Mhm.
people joining. So just a quick
Mhm.
recap. We have Ernesto with us, and Ernesto is a longtime practitioner reader in the Cleveland area. Works heavily, maybe not heavily, a lot, with crystal skulls. I don't want to sound like you walk around with a skull in your hand doing Hamlet.
No.
Um, but we have a workshop with Ernesto coming up. What is it, on the 18th in the evening?
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
it is online because of COVID. And we wanted to take the fear out of working with skulls, because I had heard people asking about doing the workshop, but people are afraid that it's an evil thing because they're skulls. So if you have questions about working with skulls and how to do this safely,
Mhm.
feel free to ask questions. Ernesto's here to answer those for you. I promise you, neither one of us have gotten in trouble working with
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, not me. Oh man. Yeah, well, while I'm waiting for people to ask, I'll show you. For example, like I was showing the quartz skull that I use for communicating or connecting with, whether it's the other side. I use it more lately for more connecting with more star related ish things, subjects, and I another reason why I'm so like, please take this workshop, is because, we're at such a time where things are crazy in our world, and the knowledge and information right now is very activated, with Skull specifically, at least from what I've received in my channels, this year, throughout this year. And I'm like, this is going to be a powerful tool that's going to help at least all the way through 2030. Not to say that it wouldn't end after that. It's just that it's going to be so much insight and new healings and all kinds of new information that we may not even have access to. So that's why I'm like, take this workshop, because you're going to learn so much, and I want people to be ready to access that information and knowledge easily. So yeah. Let's see, what do we got here? Any
Um,
questions?
well, Colleen was bringing up a point about being able to connect with those maybe a little better coming up on Samhain, Halloween,
Mhm.
Day of the Dead, especially if you're using it for ancestor work. Is that something that they would kind of be a little stronger on?
Oh yeah, and anytime we're, especially with the solstice and things like that, how we usually use our symbol as the circle. I would definitely be keeping those specific tools, like the skulls, whether they're crystals or not, which is where I'm going to show the other skull I have. I would place it in the middle, in the center of your altar, or if you're doing it in an outside setting, I would definitely have it in the middle, just to be able to bring in all that connection between the earth and the spirit plane. Yes. And here's another one I'm going to show. Don't be scared, guys. This one is much bigger. This is bone, but it's not a human skull, so don't worry. It was just carved a certain way, and it has all these different little symbols, that I have here, if I can do it correctly. It's all for protection. So this skull, and it has all the different planetary stuff. So this one I use specifically for the spirit world, period. Whereas the quartz one I would use more for higher dimensional stuff. Again, depending on if how you want to connect with the spirit realm. If you're comfortable with quartz, overall stone. If you want to use a skull, like, let's say, I don't know, depending, celestite, amethyst, any of those, like higher crown, lapis lazuli, third eye, skulls will be perfect for the communicating with the ancestor, the spirit of the dead, and all of that. But this is just for my altar by itself. This is the one I use, that I always hold on to have that direct contact with. So this is basically for the house, to just let them in and out, my key. Pretty much. So
Kind of like
yeah,
the gatekeeper, the bouncer,
there
of
you go.
the house
Yep.
for you.
There you go. Let's
So
see.
they can be protective for you as well. Uh,
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a good one, Melissa. You're right. Like, you can use, if you're nervous, but you want to use and get at least familiar with the skulls, and access more of its energy vibration, you can get a smoky quartz, skull, or a black obsidian, onyx, tourmaline, skull, because you're being protected at the same time, until you get more comfortable to working with other ones. So if anyone knows about minerals and crystals and stones, then you would know, well, this is a protected stone, so I should be able to use this skull to help me, so I can filter out lower spirits, and combining it too. If you want to say, I want to use an amethyst, but I'm still nervous to open the doorway completely, maybe I'll use a different skull together, like an amethyst and an obsidian together skull, So that could be another way of doing it if you want.
yeah. So if anybody has any other questions, go ahead and pop them into the chat. We'll answer them for you, or Ernesto will. He's doing
Words.
all the heavy work tonight. I'm just monitoring, comments pages.
Yeah. And this is just a teaser, because there's so much more. So get in what you can fill in.
Right, right. So what type of things will you be teaching them at the class on the 18th?
One thing that because we're in this, like, to some they call it the ascension time, the ascension period, or the transitional time of the new age, and all of that. One of the things that I'm going to teach with, connecting and with the crystal skulls would be to help them not just to gain knowledge and preparation of the changes that are coming, but also to help them individually in whatever insight and healing, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually, but also how to actually access and how to really activate and have that skull not just sitting around, but actually talking, actually connecting, actually feeling the vibration. Like really having something that's turned on. Like you turn your TV on, you switch it on with the remote, boom, it's on the same way. That's what I want to get everybody to be able to do.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So Shelly asked if I have black tourmaline skulls at the store. I don't have tourmaline at the moment. I'm hoping to get some in soon. I should have a couple smoky quartz, and then we've got some fluorite and a few others there. But as for protective, there were some smoky.
Smoky, yeah.
And then
Mm-hmm.
Joe was asking if the skulls appreciate offerings like food or booze.
Oh yeah, I mean, food. I
That
mean,
stories.
any kind of office. Yes. It depending on people's spiritual path, they say, "Oh, you shouldn't give booze." I find that some crystals actually enjoy having a little booze, but especially even tobacco, even cigars, things like that. You can give them, they feed off of that. But I would say give them minimal when it comes to booze and any cigars type of thing, because then they'll it's like us, we'll get addicted. So you don't want your crystals to get addicted to, you know, uh, tobacco or alcohol, because then you're going to have them buzz all the time, and then you're going to get distorted information, just
Yeah.
like our brain would do the same thing. Yeah.
Who doesn't like food and booze?
Right.
I mean, as you know, the one that we have at the store, I mean, he loves his tequila. And
Yes.
if I don't keep an eye on that and keep it, like, he will mess with some of the electronics in the store to get my attention. So I will go over there and fill his little shot glass.
Yes. Once you get them started, like you said, then it's like you want to make sure that you don't want to overdo it, but you want to, so they'll let you know. It's like, hey, I need my shot, or I need it will request it, because then they won't help you. They'll take a break. They'll pull back a little bit. Like I'm not gonna do anything until I get that. So remember, be careful what you give them, because then you have to give it to them all the time, and they will let you know.
Yeah. They're really like the little people in those little little vessels there.
Absolutely.
But he earns his keep. He's a good little fellow. We rub his head all the time.
Yes. Yes. No.
Yeah. So if anybody's got any other questions, we're already coming up on 8:00. So that
I know, right? Cheers, by the way. I'm having a little wine, not for the skull, just for myself.
Right.
But I will tell you, let me add something real quick, because since she was asking about protective stones, she could always use there any of the white stones that are protective. If there's, I don't know if you have any like howlites or any of the jaspers. We gotta just look at the mineral, because it's not by just color. Everyone, like red jasper, for example, could be very protective. So if there's, let's say, a red or a yellow jasper skull that you're attracted to, it has protective properties. So you could use that as well, and in whatever form of communication you needed, to do its work for you.
Yeah. Well, and I know I have like some mookaite ones that are about, yay big. So not, whoop, the camera's backward, guys. Sorry.
That's okay.
Some mookaite. We have fluorite, and a few others. So, speaking of the jasper, like we have some mookaite where they'll be like red and tan going on, and they look really neat.
Do you have some of the yellow ones by chance there too?
I did. I don't know if they're still there. Like it's been so busy lately. Um, and Kayla on my page, I did pick up and remember how Bob used to keep asking like where his girlfriend was for years. And I'm like, tell me, like it's a big world. Where is she?
Yes.
And this last trip to Tucson, I picked up this beautiful Newmite skull, and she was yelling at me down the aisle because I walked past her and told her to shush and kept walking, and I had to go back and pick her up. And um, she was pretty much bossing me and Kayla around the last few days we were there. Like I had to take her with me, and I'm like, I can't take you into other shows. They'll want me to pay for you again. You're gonna sit in the car.
Yeah.
And then I couldn't just leave her on the seat. Like she wanted to be up on the dash, like, a place of importance. She's a bossy little thing. But yeah, they can have quite a personality. She doesn't require or ask for the alcohol. It's Bob who wants tequila.
Okay.
She just wants to be at a focal point where she can keep an eye on
Okay.
it.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
yeah, she's sassy.
My bone one doesn't really require alcohol. It likes cigars though. That I had to smoke cigars around it sometimes, just blow it over him. Um and what else? And actually just spring water, or distilled water. It's fine for that one. It's not really, but those quartz one every now and again, yeah, I would give it a little bit of vodka or rum. The coconut particularly, he likes the coconut flavor. So
Right.
yeah.
Oh, right. You guys, if you have any questions about how to work with skulls, or if you have questions in regards to like if you feel a little hesitant, this is where to ask the questions because it's not scary, it's not bad to work with skulls.
I see that someone's asking if it has its own soul. And
Okay.
and it's like, again, it's a consciousness. So it's like how we have a consciousness, we all can be a collective consciousness together as a group. So when we're putting our intention, our consciousness in a way kind of transfers within the skull, but it also acts as higher self knowledge. So it would have like, it's almost like, the only way I could explain it, at least in my interpretation or my understanding or at least experience, is that it's almost like it has its own higher self in combination with something within my energies or my intents, so it would have like a piece of soul fragment of me because I've been working with it. So we start to share and blend energy together. So yeah. Hello, Christina. Let's see. Sandy says,
Yeah. Her first and only skull so far, and I say so far because Sandy might get another one.
okay.
Just that out there, Sandy. Made of lapis and was drawn to him. Does it matter what the stone is? Can you still program them?
Okay. It's funny. I'm going to say most, I look at skulls as if they're carved, they're automatically teachers in itself. Okay. Now, if I am going to go more in depth as far as the type of minerals concerned, the only, for me, again, the only stones that I find that are kind of not necessarily programmable, can't even get it right, is lapis, funny, and moldavite, any type of tektite. It's really funny for me. I always find that lapis, and it has it's got its own like wisdom in itself, and that's just from my experience. You might be able to program a lapis, but in my experience, I find lapis is one of the few, just like a certain type of meteorite would be oh my god.
Programmable.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you, Melissa. So yeah, so if you were drawn to lapis, it's a specific energy, and also considering that it's a skull, carved, I find that to be maybe more of a master teacher, if anything, because of the both combination of being carved and also, being the type of mineral that it is. And I will say that lapis lazuli has been lately, for some odd reason, a stone that a lot of people are being attracted to. I know I had a few friends that stopped by at the shop and got a silly and picked up several lapis points and certain stones, and everyone's like, hey, this lapis. I'm like, what's going on with lapis lately? Everyone wants to know about lapis. So hey, use it, and if you want to amplify your lapis, put a quartz next to it. Mm-hmm.
Um, so on one of the other pages, Wendy, you asked if you believe that the skull kind of finds you. And, like I said, that Newmite one yelled at me from across like a ginormous gem show, and then argued with, well, I should say I argued with her about why I did not need to buy her. And we see who won that one.
It's like in pet, at the same time, they choose you. I think that that's true with stones as well. I mean, there's some stones that I feel like I'm just attracted. I'm like, I want that one. And there's some that I'm like, I'm not really into it, but it's just, it's coming home with me. Like I've had pieces that I would grab and be like, oh, I want this one so beautiful, or it's so big. Cause for me, I like the big ones, but I'm grab this other one and it's warm and the other one's cold. I'm like, this one's the one that's got to go with me. This one's out, this one's turned on. This one's activated. So I'll take the one. Like you may find a skull that has a crack, and it actually may be the one that will speak the most to you. So it just what your energy and connection is.
All right. So then another question was they were asking if they will need to get a reading before introducing skull work with ancestors, because maybe the ancestors aren't going to be comfortable with that.
I don't like to listen to what everybody has to tell me. I want to do it because I want to do it. Honestly, I mean, if that's how you feel and that's like your way of life, or maybe through the tradition, then I would say then you can go about it that way. Personally, for me, I rather just find out, or if I want to access something, I will. Now, let's put it this way: if you try to get a skull and you are running into blockages from getting one, or a specific one, then maybe that will be your ancestors and your guides saying, no, you got to talk to us first. Then I was okay, here they're blocking me. But it just depends on your intent and your belief system, on that one. So there's no wrong or right. It's just where you stand with it.
Right. Now, on that class on the 18th that you're doing, which will be online Zoom, so anybody from anywhere can jump in and take this. Just be mindful of any time difference that there might be.
Yes.
Shelley was wondering if, how to start working with the skull and bringing a past loved one over. So will that be covered in the workshop?
Oh, like to oh yeah, I mean that's something that will be that's a definite, and there will be specific details that I, at least methods that I've used for that, so with where you're going to add other specific tools that you're going to put with the skull together. So yes, yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So we have some other hellos, another like Gina's with us, and Heather. So all these different pages.
Well, Elizabeth, thank you for my voice. Woo! All right, let's see. Any other ones?
We've got a few more minutes if anybody has any other questions. But in the meantime, I'll recap again. The class is on the 18th at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. So just, if you're out of our time zone, just make sure you adjust for the time. Because Ernesto, you're probably not offering this, right? You're getting kind of heavily into the Star Alliance.
I'm going to be working on some other workshops, and it's because of me working on with my crystal skull, especially more intensively this year than most of my years. I mean, I've used it for several years now, and I've even created a little mini circle where I sometimes work with them together as a library. So, I mean, if you want to use the crystal skull theme in the of the old ways, like the way the Aztecs and the Atlanteans use it, get your own different types of skulls little by little, and create a circle, create your own 13 skulls, and put them together. and then have them become a big network to really get more information. Personally, I probably would want to stick with the quartz in the middle and then have maybe like a lapis and a rose quartz and an amethyst, like all around it, so then I can have a full network to communicate together with the centerpiece. And but again, that part of what I'm going to be teaching in the near future, it will be a lot of star related stuff because of working with the quartz, or the skulls, period. So that's why I'm like, please take it because I don't know when I'm going to be able to fit this next one in if I do. So
You're pretty busy. Um,
yeah.
I mean, I had to kind of chase you down for a little while to
You
get this
did.
one.
You
Um,
did.
but
That's
I
right.
take it while we got them. Now, Shelly's asking how to sign up for it. I know you can sign up for it on the Goddess Elite website on the events page. Ernesto, and I think you had it like in your email and uh,
Yeah, I have it. I have it on my website, but but even when they link to it, they'll get an auto reply to be able to like sign and pay for to hold their reserve their space through the Goddess Elite link. Anyway, so whichever way you'll get an email so that you can be able to hold your reserve your spot.
right. And I'm gonna go get the direct link too real quick, and we'll put it in the chat to make
Yeah,
it a little easier.
it's
Um, though
so mad.
Elizabeth wanted to know what we what we think of Crystal Skull Max.
Then this is why again, this is workshops is going to be very important because Melissa, remember when we went to see Crystal Skull Max on our own time when we went to PA?
Yeah.
Well, we have taken some of our and I took the one that I use, the main one. I took a few of my skulls with me. I think I took the fluorite and the labradorite one, another good one. Uh, yeah, and skulls transfer information to each other. So I had mines with Crystal Skull Max and during my session, and it also gave information to help with the other information that I already have within that I have access or placed within. So I think it kind of also serves to help my specific skull. And what I find is, again, the question as far as Max is concerned, yeah, it's knowledge that it has a combination of Arcturian, Palladian, and other minerals that mold it together. So whichever way the history is, which I do believe there's a lot of truth to it, you got all that knowledge within, so I do believe that if you ever like run across not just Max, but any of the other ones that are accessible to, which is probably like two other ones maybe or three that might be around the world.
Yeah.
Um,
Is what synergy and
it's kind of raw or one of them. I don't remember if it's kind of raw.
yeah, I can't remember.
Regardless, like take them, take your skulls, any of your amethyst or quartz or lapis or and have them get energy transferred to it too as well because they're from other realms, but that doesn't minimize your own crystal skulls of any type of mineral. Like at the end of the day, I just want everyone to understand that too. That it's like, oh well, but this is more powerful than that one or this. No, you have with the intent, with faith and trust. And you have your minerals. You go ahead and you work with these specific skulls of your own that you have in your own home and get them activated. This is what we're working on, so and how to be able to use it for your healings. You may ask your skull, I want to know how to enhance my Reiki abilities to help others heal much quicker. I want to really master it in a greater, higher sense. So you use the skulls for that to give you that insight. You may get a teaching from your own skulls that has not even been written in a book. Okay, so you have to just trust yourself and work with it, and that's why I want to offer this, to be able to have people to know how to access that information, to really go within inside the crystalline structure and get that information, and how to even insert information that you or questions within your skull, so that then when it's time, you get the answers to be able to be projected out to you. So
Mhm.
that's what this class is going to be all about, everybody.
That's
Mhm.
fun.
Mhm.
Um,
And it's a good deal, $33. A master number.
how can you go wrong?
Right. So are we good? Is everybody else good? I mean,
Any last questions here? Because we're coming close to 8:15.
okay.
So we asked you to take a little bit of time out of your evening to
Now
kind
we'll
of
go.
answer questions, dispel some skull fears.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
so get your questions, guys, before we have to let them go. And while we're waiting, again, I put the link in the chat that you can sign up directly with that link. Ernesto, if they wanted to get just a reading with you, it's your website, oracleiernesto, right, .com. Do I
Yeah,
have that right?
yeah. Well, it's the at oracleernesto.com. Yeah. So the Oracle I is my header, but yeah, it's yeah, www.oracleernesto.com, and you can move and book yourself in there. There's a link where you go to the page for that, but that you don't have to get a reading for the skull class. This is like we got you can't get
Right.
in for that anyways. You guys will be able to talk to me to the end of this month anyway. So
Yeah, you're booked way out.
yeah.
So
So but this class, like I would really everybody take this one. This is gonna be a fun one.
yeah, I think so.
Knowledgeable and fun because I like to joke around too. So
Right.
yeah.
More ways for Bob to earn his keep in the store is the way I'm looking at it.
There you go. That's funny.
And I still don't have a name for his girlfriend. And it's weird because I haven't felt the need to ask because I think for the longest time he wouldn't have told me anyway.
That's another thing. That's funny you say that. That's another thing. Like, I've had mines for years. And then I was like, like, what is your name? It was blank. At least this one was. The other ones did communicate it. But I was like, why is this? And it was like, you name me. And if I like it, then I'll agree with it. And I was like, okay. And it didn't like any. And then it turns around and tells me, no, this is what I'm going to name myself. Because they didn't like anything that I had to name him by. So you will hear like something in your head or or clairaudiently, the name over, like a repeated over and over. So, and that is one thing, and that we're going to teach is being able to like communicate with it, a two-way communication. And once you have its name, then you'll be able to just call it by name, and then you could access the information much quicker. So yeah.
Well, I mean, like in the beginning, Bob got his nickname because I was a fan of that Harry Dresden book series. And the
Yeah.
character has a human skull with a spirit that lives in it named Bob.
Mhm.
And my Bob did not like that name at first until, kind of grudgingly, I'm like, oh, it's like a term of endearment. Okay. But I do know what his real name is. But
Right.
it took him a while to grudgingly be like, okay, fine, you can call me Bob,
Mm.
because it
I
wasn't,
would.
you know,
Hey, Elizabeth, that's fine. You can book your reading for your own selfish reasons. That's so
yep.
funny.
Yeah.
Um,
Because Ernesto, you're doing all your readings from home via Zoom, right?
it's all been Zoom and phone if people are on the go and don't have time to get on the screen. So yeah, just for the time being. Yeah.
Yeah. Until it's really safe to go out and have.
Yeah. So.
Right. Well, any last minute questions, guys? Otherwise, we got to let Ernesto go enjoy his evening. He had a long day of reading.
Tomorrow, especially. Oh man.
I know I was kind of lazy today. I didn't do too much
Yeah.
because it was a holiday, right? Who's supposed to work on a holiday?
Right, right. Yeah, no, I actually relaxed. I relaxed, but definitely got to get started tomorrow. So,
Yeah.
all right. Anyone else before I let you go? Please tell your friends. Tell your friends to take this class. It's a low price. It's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of information. Get your notebooks out, your phones to record whatever it is, and get the information. Because this is going to be a load of almost 2 hours worth. So you're getting a deal for 2 hours. Okay.
And they don't have to have a crystal skull all ready to take it.
Correct. You do not have to have a skull until afterwards. Like if you want to say, okay, I got all the information, I want to run and go get one, you know where to go get it. Got to sleep.
I brought back a ton for Tucson.
I got to go get a few more to add to my collection. So, yeah, for sure. So, yeah.
All
Mhm.
right, guys. Well, with that, we thank you for joining us and asking your questions. If you can, hopefully you'll join us for the class. It'll be online, Zoom. And when you do register, you'll get a confirmation email that said, hey, by the way, you registered for this class. And then in that email, it will also have the Zoom link to be able to join us. So with that, I think we're going to say good night,
Good
everybody.
night, everybody. All right. See you at the class.
All
Zoom.
right, guys, hang up.